Jo Hoekstra is the executive producer of Norm Macdonald, Nothing Special. I'm at Nobel Gold Derby, and I want to kick things off by asking you, Jo, what was the most impactful moment of the comedy special for you?
I guess for me, it might not be a specific moment, but it's just to be able to share it with everyone. It has an impact because we didn't expect it to be seen, but I'm so grateful that Norm shot it so that we could share it. That was completely his idea to do it. And it was just a kind of a safety net to have it recorded, since we all know what he was going through at the time. But the fact that he wanted it shown, I never would have ever released it if he didn't want it shown. He wanted his material out there. So the fact that I could share it and we could share it, I call it a gift that he left for all of us. So to me, the impact is just the fact that it was able to be released and that people got to see it, that it didn't stay in this closet right back there where it was for a long time, because I never ever expected it to be seen. We were supposed to shoot live in front of an audience this spring, and because of COVID and because of Norm's situation, that didn't happen. But it's incredibly impactful that we get to share it with his blessing. As I said, it's very important to me that people know that it was his blessing that it's out there.
Yeah, and because of that, the successes, and because it's you didn't get a chance to shoot it this spring, it means that it is a comedy special different in it from any other of Norm's and maybe any other comedy special we've seen. What do you think is something, sort of a window we get? What's something that we get to see through this that we otherwise wouldn't have got to see if it was just done like most comedy specials are, shot in front of a live audience?
Yeah. I mean, it's very real and very raw. Of course, we did have post-production and it's edited, but it was one take. I mentioned this before, when specials are shot, there's multiple performances that are edited together, the best ofs, and this was not a best of. He wasn't influenced by the timing of the audience with laughter, so it's just his innate ability to do timing. It's very natural. It feels very real. And he literally was sitting in front of a computer delivering it. He connects so much with his audience. So the fact that he could still deliver it the way he did is incredible. But he was very proud of his material. Comedy was the most important thing to him. And so he had such a passion for it. I think that's just what drove him to be able to do it the way he did it. But yeah, I mean, without a doubt, it's a one of a kind, without a doubt. Such a unique situation, and it kind of sums up Norm. He was a very, very unique person. So, yeah. It wasn't planned to be done this way, but it just kind of falls into the Norm we know and love. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting thing about it, probably because there's not that audience sort of response, we almost get maybe a window into Norm, his own sensibilities and responding to, himself and his own appreciation or things to the jokes more so than we would usually.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's a good point. He's not performing in the sense of performing for the audience. So it is a real him, if that makes sense. I'm sure that when you're performing in front of an audience, there's just another energy that you're kind of maybe putting on a bit of a, not necessarily a character, but this other personality. And we, by watching him just be alone, shooting this, get to see a real Norm, really. I mean, it's an interesting thing you say, but yeah, I think that's true.
And you, I believe you worked with him since 1999. Is that correct?
Well, you're going to make me age myself 6 extra years, but I've worked with him. Yeah, no, I've worked with him since 93.
Okay, yes.
Yes, yeah. I was working at Saturday Night Live before he started there. So I met him at Saturday Night Live.
Fantastic.
And we worked together ever since.
I was thinking the Norm show is where I was starting that timeline. That's why.
That was our Los Angeles. We after New York, we moved to Los Angeles, and that was our first show out here. I can't believe you. I mean, I shouldn't say I can't believe you know the Norm show, but I'm glad you make reference to the Norm show.
Yeah. So,
but I'm sure IMDb helped.
Yeah. So, as someone who like knew Norm for so long, what did you learn from him and appreciate most about him?
You know what? There's certain questions that I get asked that just aren't answerable, and I haven't been asked that question, but that's one of those unanswerables. To be able to sum up what I've learned from Norm, it goes well beyond comedy. I mean, he's so smart that the spectrum of what you learn from Norm is endless. I couldn't possibly even tell you the top 5. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, like, as you like work with him on different specials and different projects over spanning decades, how did that how do you think how did things evolve in terms of the comedy he was doing and also your work as a producer?
You know, he was one thing. There's a couple answers to that one. He is always so true to himself that he didn't evolve that much, because he was always just, you knew who he was, and it was the Norm you saw on stage is the Norm off stage. So the evolution would be just an evolution as a person, not as the comedian, because he always was so true to who he really was. But I do think, though, just based on, you know, a couple decades of knowing, he did evolve in his comedy, that he knew what he thought was funny, and he stayed true to it. And he didn't necessarily, you know, wait to hear if the joke was funny and then he would believe it was funny. He knew that it was funny, and I think he felt more and more confident, maybe is the word. He always was confident, but just sure, like, if that was his style of comedy, is just to stay true to what he liked and what he thought was funny. And as far as me and producing for him, you know, our partnership, it just, after working together for so many years, you know, you can do the shorthand, and you just, even now, I can never possibly speak for him, but I'm comfortable just knowing, the same way I did when I was producing with him, I was just able to answer for him in style of production. But I mean, I was just so lucky to be able to produce and work with him. It was a great, you know, it sounds so corny, but it wasn't work. It was, I was just very lucky to be able to do that.
What's something you miss? What's something you miss about Norm?
Oh, Matt.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Matt.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to put that in one of those categories of how could I possibly even pick one? You know, I know it's not a fun answer, but it just, he was such a, you know, full personality that, I'll tell you this much. I'm still never bored, but knowing him for nearly 30 years of my adult life, I used to always say, like, I know this is true, I didn't know what the concept of boredom was, or being bored. And I 100% know that was because I was affiliated and associated and around Norm so much. Like, there was just never a moment of not something happening that was pretty fascinating. So I guess maybe if I had to say something I miss, it wouldn't be the one thing, because there's so many things, but something I miss is just that, you know, full life. Yeah.
You have received an Emmy nomination for the special, which is very exciting.
Very.
Not as many as Norm's gotten for the special. I think so. The special has 3 in total: writing, directing, and you were nominated in the in the best variety special pre-recorded category. What does that nomination mean to you? And sort of where were you when you found out that the show picked up 3?
Oh, I mean, it means so much because of Norm. You know, it's not, I can't personally say I'm nominated. I'm nominated because of what Norm did. And I know that. I mean, we worked together like this, but he did this and it's him. So as much as I'm proud of the nomination, I'm proud of Norm for allowing me to be nominated, or, you know, that part of it. I was in Illinois. I was in Wisconsin, but I was back home with family in Illinois. And I thought I knew the date that the nominations were coming out, but I was off by 2 days. And so when my phone was texting out of control, I thought, oh, I wonder. And then the first thing I saw is that congratulations text, and it was very thrilling. And I didn't even tell my mom that nominations were coming out. So she was very happy too. And she's going to go with me.
Did you think they were 2 days later or 2 days earlier?
Later.
Okay, yeah. So it's not like you were like, mustn't have gotten it. Like,
no.
Well.
Yeah, I had just been on a trip and had my first case of COVID, so I was a little fuzzy brained. So
No. And
but I'm very appreciative to Norm for it, without a doubt.
And now, obviously, there's the stand-up special part of it, or is he sitting down in the special actually? So it's not quite stand-up, not quite, but there's the comedy. There's the comedy special,
right.
And then the end of it, there is reflections with.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah. With people, various people like David Letterman, Conan, Molly Shannon. I might as well go through the whole list now. Adam Sandler, David Spade, and Chappelle. Dave Chappelle. So we've got those that are reflecting. How did the decision come in to add that bit to it? Was like, because I imagine that's not something that was Norm's idea.
No. It was. I'm so grateful to Netflix. We already had deal in place. You know, as you know, we were supposed to shoot it in September. We had a deal in place, Norm did, to have the special for Netflix. So very grateful. Ted, who Norm and Ted were friends, Ted Sarandos, still wanted to do the special. So in conversations with Netflix, that thought came up. I mean, different variations of it. And then we ultimately decided that was a good way to do it. No, Norm, of course, didn't know about it. And I was very careful to not, because I mean, those are powerhouse names. They're incredible. It's incredible that those 6 people are involved. And as much as, you know, you'd want to put the weight on the fact that they're in it, that's Norm's special and it's about Norm. So it was just, I was very careful to, you know, reserve them for the end. And I know Norm would be so moved by everyone doing it in the first place. And then the things that they shared and the things that they said were very, very meaningful. So then any hesitation I had about including other people in Norm's special, because it's just him, that's what a special is. Once they shot it and once we put it together, I mean, any hesitation I had was completely gone. I'm absolutely grateful to each of them for doing it. And I know how special it is for Norm that they did it. So yeah. No, it's really incredible that they did it.
Since it is such a raw, like, comedy set, and it is so sort of unique, it is nice to have that sort of context around it and to have that sort of like those reflections at the end of it of the significance of it and him. So I think that does go really well. Do you have just a favorite joke from the set, or one that you particularly like?
Well, yeah, I do. There's one that makes me laugh every single time. And well, I mean, I'll tell you the joke, I'll tell you in a second, but I also love the phone call that is 100% real. I almost left in the editing because as soon as we finished it, I was in the room with them. He did it completely alone, but I was in the room in there. And as soon as we finished, I said, "Who called?" And it had been his brother, Leslie. So I almost left that. Oh my, I just froze there. But I almost left that. I almost left that in just so people knew that that phone call was real. But anything Norm does is real. So it's not even a question whether that was a fake call or not. It was real. And then of course with the dog barking, I like that in there too. But Hail the Sluts makes me laugh every time. You know, for she's a jolly good slut. So anyway, that's my joke that makes me laugh every time.
Oh, fantastic. And it's he's got like a nice sort of towards the end of the set reflections on his mum too, which is really nice. So it's nice to hear you're taking your mum to the Emmy Awards. That's a nice little like parallel there. Yeah, that's good. And he really truly, I mean, his mom, he mentions in it that he had a place for her nearby. He did. She's in Canada, so she would spend winters in Los Angeles, and he got her a place nearby him. And so he really did have, I know, of course, it's a joke. There's a punchline there, but the reflection on his mom is real. Yeah. Yeah, she's a wonderful lady. She's really great. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Laurie Jo.
Thank you, Matt.
All the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards and whatever's in the pipeline for you. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com to make your own awards predictions, join the discussion in our forum. And thank you so much for giving up your time today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I appreciate what you're doing for Norm too.